Welcome back. It is the Big Bite Breakfast Show with me, Sukhi, Bart and Sharan, and it's that time where something smells nice in the kitchen.
Alright, so for my Philly cheesesteak, I like to keep it very simple. I like to get some roasted beef, some Montreal smoked beef, kind of combine those together, Montreal steak seasoning, garlic to saute, olive oil, and I like to give it a little kicker. What I like to use is not just your traditional gravy, but the Swiss Chalet dipping sauce. Not the gravy, but the dipping sauce. Why? Because it just tastes good. And that's just how we do it in the kitchen. So let's get started. So for the sauce, what we're gonna do is start off with 2 cups of water. Oh yeah. I like to keep my gravy thick, so I'm gonna be actually using 3.5 cups of water. And if I need to add more later on, I can. We're gonna cook this on medium heat and keep stirring till the sauce thickens and the water comes to boil. Okay, so for the next step, we're gonna be sauteing the beef, and we're gonna start off with a couple of clove of garlics. The way I like to do my garlic is just have them peeled ready and smash. You can use as much garlic as you want. I love garlic, so I'm gonna use about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. Yeah, might as well just use all of them. Okay, so now we're gonna take some olive oil and just lightly coat the pan until it's nicely, so you don't see any dry spots. There you go. You're gonna let that heat up. I've already had the pan on medium heat, and I'm just gonna take my garlic, throw it right in there. So for the next step, what you wanna do is take your meat, and I've got the Montreal smoked meat. I'm trying to take half of this, and what I like to do is just throw it on there, and I'm gonna cut these, and just to kind of keep them up. Do one more, and I like to have long strips because when you stir fry them, they become nice and stringy. I'm just gonna put that aside, take my roast beef, same thing, 1, 2, 3, put them together, and there you go. So the garlic is nice and roasted. We're gonna take some steak seasoning, I'm gonna put that right into the oil, and we're gonna take our meat and just throw it right in. So what I'm doing here, I'm just mixing up all the garlic and the steak seasoning, getting that all stir fried. You don't want to cook this for too long because the meat's already been smoked. You just want to give it a nice little texture, mingle all those flavors together, get it nice and warm. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on top of the bread and pop it into the oven. So you just want to kind of let it stir fry. And I like to throw in some of the gravy into here and just kind of soak in all those flavors. And so when you put it onto the bread, it's nice and juicy and it soaks right into the bread as you bake it with the cheese. Fantastic. I'm just gonna season a little bit more with my steak seasoning. The meat's pretty good. You can just see it's got a nice little crisp on it. Now, this is my favorite part. I like to just get some of the gravy and just put it right in there. Once you put the gravy in, just turn it down to medium and just let those flavors come together. I'm gonna put a little bit more gravy in just because we've got a lot of meat going on here. Make sure that everything is nice and juicy. What we're gonna do next is get all the mushrooms, green peppers, and onions. We're gonna stir fry that with some more steak seasoning, a little bit of paprika, give it a nice little kick. I sometimes like to add sriracha to that, so we're gonna add some sriracha to the vegetables. We're gonna mix all this together and put it onto our bread, and man, is it ever gonna taste good. So what I'm gonna do now is saute the veggies. I'm gonna use that same pot, and if you see, I just taken out all the meat. It just captures all that goodness. So when you stir fry those veggies, you get that nice taste from the meat and the gravy and all that. And it's one less dish to wash. You guys are gonna make me cry at home now, aren't you? All right, so gonna just literally cut this in half. All right, and I'm just gonna literally just give it a nice little rustic chops there. The reason why I cut this onion in half is it's just easier to cut. So what I'm gonna do is take all my onions and I'm gonna throw them into the pot. Do a nice stir fry. I'm gonna turn up the heat. So next what I'm gonna do is my green peppers and then my mushrooms, because mushrooms don't take too long to cook. Green peppers, a little bit longer. The best way to cut a green pepper, just kind of right into the middle there. And I'm gonna take my knife and run it through the top. So I wanna take those seeds out because I don't wanna be using those seeds. Look at that, easy peasy, good to go. Give it a nice little shake, all the excess seeds come out. You don't need that. Now, cut in the middle. Watch your fingers, you don't wanna throw that in there as well. We're gonna throw this in with the onions. So the last step for this veggie is your mushrooms. Now I've got cremini mushrooms and regular white button mushrooms. Now I like to mix it up. You can use whatever type of mushroom you want. I like the juices from that cremini, and that bun gives it a nice crisp, so we're gonna use both. What you're gonna do, just cut the end off, put that away, and just give it a nice, and you're good to go. At the bottom of the mushroom, what they do is when they cut it, it usually bruises, and you don't want to use that part. You want to cut off just about a centimeter or two, or just like the whole little end of it, and just disregard it. You don't need it. Some people use it, some people don't. I don't like to use it. It's only this much of a mushroom, so you can just chuck it away. You're good to go. Okay, you're gonna take your mushrooms and add it right into the green peppers and onions. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some salt. I'm gonna add about 2 teaspoons of salt. And I'm gonna add cracked black pepper. And make sure your veggies are coated nicely. So, the best part, the assembly. Now, we've got a garlic parmesan baguette. This is fresh. What we're gonna do is we're literally just gonna cut this in half, and I'm gonna start assembling. So, gonna hold it sturdy so it doesn't move around, and you're just gonna cut right down, just like a Subway. Eat fresh. We are gonna open this nicely. There we go. That's beautiful. This is where the art begins. We're gonna take our sauce. We're gonna start off with our base. So the bread can get really dry sometimes. So what you wanna do is make sure that that sauce soaks in right to that bread. So you get it's not dry, it's nice and wet and juicy, and it just tastes good. Now, the next step. What you wanna do is you're gonna take your meat. You wanna just make sure it's spread out. This is what bothers me. When you get a sandwich, sometimes the edges don't have that meat or the cheese. I wanna make sure that when I'm eating my sandwich, every single bite has meat, cheese, and vegetables. It only takes an extra 30 seconds, so you spread it nicely. You take your time, and you make sure the edges get covered. Now look, this is bothering me here. If you take a look over here, whoever gets that end piece is not gonna get sauce. So, I'm gonna be generous enough, and I'm gonna soak that in sauce, because that's just how we do it. So when you close it up, you can see, there's a nice amount of meat there. So, we're good. That test has been passed. Okay, so the next step is your veggies. You can take your veggies. I'm just gonna nicely even distribute that. You can use any cheese you want, but I like provolone. It's just nice and gooey and it tastes great with a sandwich. Okay, so in your preheated oven, you're gonna bake this beast. You're gonna put it in there for 5 to 7 minutes or until golden brown. That cheese is nice and gooey, and take it out, chop it up, and enjoy. Ooh, yeah. Look at that, guys. That's some ooey gooey goodness going around there. You can see the cheese is all melted, the bread is nice and crispy, and the meat is hot. Everything's good to go. We're gonna see how this tastes. Before I like to cut into this and enjoy this, I like to take a picture and share it on my blog. Make sure you check out the recipe, www.ricksgoodeats.com.